Alright, so MEREOLEONA is coming out in 9 days' time on April 18th. And she is someone I think is extremely worth it to pull for and definitely worth your pulls, especially now after the little slump or just waiting period where you were allowed to save a large amount of crystals, and after her banner we'll be able to continue to do so. She is very flexible, and in this video we're going to go over what she does, her teams, why you should pull for her, and just looking in the relation with everything else that's coming out around her and how much you should invest into her. So we're going to start with one of those points being the fact of, well, what's releasing around her. So she's coming out the 18th, and then on the 30th is when we're getting season 9, and then 2 weeks later we're going to be getting Zora and Vanessa. Now this is guesstimate dates, so the dates are not official, but if you want more information on like who you should summon on exactly, that's up to you. But usually I recommend skipping seasonal banners unless both of them are like S plus tier. In this case, these are usually mono units, so it's going to depend on the mono teams you're running. But for the most part, you only really need to summon for the pickups here, and then besides that, you're going to be safe till like June. So overall, you're gonna be safe in terms of crystals. You're not really gonna miss out in the future, but you know, you do you. But overall, yeah, I'd say Mario is definitely worth it for that. Now, one of my, well, okay, we'll talk about the kit now, I guess, and then we're gonna talk about her teams. So Mario is a very strong unit, and she is going to change the meta. No matter how much people are going to talk about Mono Red, I mean, this is going to be some of the teams that will be able to compete against Mono Red. Every single team she is, well, that's going to be mentioned in this video will be very nice. Now, some of them will include Black Asta, but obviously not on Mono Red. So, she is going to be a tank, and she's going to be a DPS, but also a defender, right? So she's going to be able to tank and attack at the same time while being a defender and being green. So she applies taunt for 2 turns if there's a dot on the enemy, and that's going to be very strong when you relate back to the dupes. Okay, so she doesn't burn besides on her combo and her base kit, but still, a 2-turn taunt where you could select who it is extremely strong and will remain very good in the meta for a while. Now then, the skill 2 applies barrier removal, does not do much damage, but its main specialty is when you have the skill page, it applies Monoskin to all allies for 2 turns. And if she does not have Monoskin on her, it will apply it to her too. Okay, so we're going to talk about her passives later. Monoskin applies 30% damage reduction, and also stun block for 2 turns. Alright, 2 turns. So she is going to be able, with Charlotte, to provide all the damage reduction needed on this team. And this is going to be much more applicable than actual ultimate damage reduction, which is a very strong effect. So yes, I would recommend getting the skill page. Then the ultimate applies an extra turn when you kill, and every instance of burn applies a 65% increased damage dealt, and also remove barrier. So remove barrier, you do a bunch of extra damage, and you get an extra turn when you kill. So a lot of the times, first turn, if you're able, you're going to ult and then skill 2, so that everyone gets the damage reduction, including her. Now, how it works, we'll talk about a bit later for the Monoskin, but it's basically when you're at when you're at 8 SP that you have the Monoskin for yourself. Now, her combo is super strong. We've already talked about it a lot, and it's a big point of a lot of my videos, is that, well, William is the quickest unit in the game alongside Charlotte. Well, now Zora kind of dethroned William and Charlotte, but technically not, because Zora has to be on mono team. But either way, William is top 3 quickest units, and his combo, obviously you could apply right away, is going to be able to be used with Mario. He applies 40% defense penetration with Mario, and Mario is going to be doing more damage because of William. Turn 1, so no damage reduction, or at least not Charlotte's damage reduction. Since William is quicker than Charlotte, he will always, well, most likely, go first before Season 6 Charlotte. He's as quick as Season 3 Charlotte. Oh, sorry, Season 5 on Global. He's as quick as Clover Academy Charlotte, but he is quicker than the ceremony Charlotte. So the damage reduction will not be applied. So Mario is going to be doing her combo and just doing insane damage. You guys will see how much it is. Plus it applies the burn. So that's her base skills. Now, the important part that I think makes her way better is her passives, including the dupe passives. So her LR passive is when she's at 8 SP. So for most of the match, she's going to be applying Monoskin to herself, which is going to give her the 30% damage reduction and stun block permanently, right? Now, what I was mentioning here is that if she is not at 8 SP, and she is going to be getting this part of it, right? So that is a pretty important thing. This is super strong, right? You can't really get stunned by Julius. Any stun is going to really like go through you. You're not going to take much damage turn 1, especially if you have any other damage reduction up. Even like Williams damage reduction, you got to also include this in to the equation, plus her being a defender. So she's not going to be taking much damage. Now, this is when she gets to be a very special unit, and it's a fast unit. I mean, I'm fine with them constructing it this way because people are going to be more than able to max dupe her unless they've been a bit silly with their resources. So the dupe 2 is going to be applying a taunt to the person with the highest all attack, so the DPS, which is why Julius kind of gets completely squashed in PvP now by MEREOLEONA, is because of the fact that he's going to be taunted on Mereo. Okay, she's not going to take any damage from the ult. She won't be stunned. And then the skill 2 is going to be on Mereo, who it's not really going to affect the match too much if you're going to use the skill 2 on MEREOLEONA. And then afterwards, well, Meryl's green and he's blue. So there's that. But this in general is super strong. Even now, like, I find it to be very annoying with any DPS I use, especially with Spirit Dive. It's like, I want to use my ult with Spirit Dive, but then it's like, oh, I have to hit Mereo. But it's like, okay, I guess I have to because I want the invincibility, but that means I'm going to have a burn applied because of the dupe 5, which, whenever you're hit, whenever Mereo's hit, she applies a burn to all enemies every time she's hit, which means she doesn't need to even like use a skill, and she's still going to apply the burn, still going to be doing some damage. And then this is going to allow her to constantly get the taunt from the skill 1 and not even need to touch her ultimate if you don't want to, which is what I'm offering. Like, you don't even need to use her as a DPS, but like getting this dupe 5 just for sustain is going to be super good, man. And yes, she can be a DPS, and I use her as a like pseudo like hybrid type of DPS, but no, this unit is crazy. And okay, let's go to the skill page next, and then we'll talk about investment right after we're done that. Okay, so Mereo skill page, undefeated girl. Now, the passive is going to be when Monoskin is present on self when you're attacking, there is a 55 up to 100% chance to attack after granting a 50 to 70% damage increased buff. So you're going to be increasing your damage by up to 70%, right? Which does make it quite crazy if we're being honest with ourselves. Now, if we're really looking at it, let me pull it up. So the translation, well, I translated it, but for the dupes, okay, it starts off that the chance to get the Monoskin increases by 15% at dupe 2. At dupe 1. So dupe 1, you're already going to be at a 70% chance to get that damage increase. But overall, if we're being real, you would like to get it to around dupe 3 to get a much higher chance overall. But I would say honestly, as long as you get it to 1 dupe, you're going to be chilling with that if we're like just thinking about it. Because 70% chance for a 50% damage increase is really good. Does this skill page get way better at max dupe? For sure. But I don't think it's a necessity for people who don't have the currency or the resources. But being able to just feed in one universal dupe should not be that bad unless you've used them all. Then getting 2 dupes, well, 1 dupe and 2 copies of the skill page is not going to be horrible. 70% chance for 50% damage dealt. If you want to get it higher, of course you can. This is going to allow the ult and her to become a DPS. But as I said, she doesn't need to be a DPS, or like, it's not gonna, it is gonna help a lot, but it's not gonna make her super crazy, right? You do see, I will admit, you see a difference in the amount of damage she does, but I don't think anymore her main thing is just doing damage, right? I think now people are using her more as like a hybrid where she's able to tank and still be able to pump out some damage, but not be the main focus of it, or go for long running games, right? So she will be very strong even without the skill page and max dupe, and obviously adding the Monoskin. So you do want 1 copy, you want to have it at least at 0 dupes, but I would recommend most people to get it to 1 or 3 dupes. Depending how many currency you have, 1 or 3 dupes is where most people should feel comfortable with the skill page, as at 3 dupes, it's going to be an 85% chance to get a 60% damage increase. So overall, is she worth the investment? Yes. Okay. Yes, and yes. She is a busted unit, all right? And as a defender is very strong. And I mean, the amount of teams that she's able to be used on, if we check it out right now. Okay, so imagine this was real. Right away, this is the team that you're probably going to be using MEREOLEONA on launch. All right, so this one, I don't have real on this account, so that's why. But this team will be strong. You could either Profana or Licht. Both work, as you know. I've already went over Licht. This will be a very strong team. And then there's going to be other teams. Well, this is going to be the next team where you have, if you want Mereo as a full DPS, you put her as you put all magic attack, full DPS build, and this team is going to go crazy. You're going to have 3 turns of invincibility on MEREOLEONA, plus she's going to have immortality because of Vanessa, so it's going to work very well. Now, I forgot, was there one? No, it was here. So this one too is going to work very well, but I've talked about it for a while, haven't really made too many videos on it, but now once it comes to global, I will, where Fuego is going to be having a bunch of damage increases that seems to stack multiplicatively between the dupe, the alt, and the skill page. The dupe's giving a 15% damage increase per burn, the alt giving a 220% damage increase, and then the skill page giving a 25% damage increase per burn if he's fully max duped, to make Fuego very good, because as we talked about with Mario, applying the burn every time she's attacked, it's going to allow you to be at 3 dupes, a 3 burns quite a lot, and it's going to work well. Then you've got a Black Asta type of team comp where you could run Witch Queen, or hell, you could even put someone as simple as just anyone for a supporting role for Witch Queen would work, but I will go more over in that in the actual guide video. And then one more fun is with Zora double tank, so they will be reflecting quite a lot of damage, and Zora himself will be acting as quite the grand DPS support. So there's a lot of different teams that MEREOLEONA will be ran on, and I think she's definitely worth your pulls. We've seen, I mean, even in the tournament, Mono Green did very good and can win against Mono Red, depending on the circumstances, and I think is not a bad idea to build. All right, in terms of investment, I would say max duping plus getting at least the skill page to 0 dupes or 1 copy is the, like, prerequisite. If you do not go for the max dupe of Mario, I do not think she's a good unit, but with that max dupe, she becomes a tremendous unit, an amazing unit. Now, how I have my Mario build, just to show for now, is basically half-half. So like magic, 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 and then defense and defense. So 2 defenses, and then the rest is magic attack. She is very strong with this type of build, and it works very well on a mono green type of format, right? Now, she will work with Spirit Dive. I just don't think Spirit Dive is really worth the investment, if I'm being honest, long term. I mean, we'll see with the upcoming units. But at least by the time we get it on global, like, we're gonna have a full idea of the upcoming units, because it sucks, like I talked about in one of my previous videos, how we don't, like, a lot of these units, we don't know their full extent. Like, sometimes they'll give buffs a month later, but a month later is a bit too late for a unit, right? Like, if you're gonna summon for them right away, you want immediate compensation. You want to feel gratified immediately. You don't want to have to wait a month for it to really pop off, which I think is one of the faults of this game. So we'll have to see, but maybe Spirit Dive on mono green's gonna go crazy, but for some reason I heavily doubt it. But Mario off mono on mono green is amazing, created a lot of fun team comps, and definitely someone you should be pulling for when she comes in 9 days with her skill page banner. So yes, she will have a skill page banner similar to how Julius does. The 3 same banners, and I would say that for pretty much everyone, it should be a no-brainer to really go for her. Because if you look at it, right, the only unit after her that you're really going for is like Zora and Vanessa, probably. So I don't really see a need to save, because there's not going to be that much in the next 2 months, if we're being honest. So yeah, that's really up to you, but bro, she's going to be insane.